one of the major problems with trialectics, from what I can tell, there's not only the problem with the heart shares, which I've tried to address recently by amending it, by adding, um, when somebody gets heart shares, they're given the opportunity to interact with people that they admire, maybe going to seminars and or music concerts, anything sort of emotionally related that'll enhance their emotional life because they have given sort of that to another person. They've enhanced their emotion, the other person's emotional life. The tricky part with this would be regulating it so that it's not sort of kosher to trade resources for these experiential things. And so that would have to be I'm still working on how that might be augmented. And ideas on that. If you have any. Another notion that may be correlating with trialectics is the dual top-down notion. So my theory uses the head, the heart, and the stomach as sort of metaphors for the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, where stomach is sort of the judicial, the heart sort of the legislative, and the mind sort of the executive. And those would sort of stay the same, and it would map on or be reflected in the economic world. Now, to have a dual top-down system adds to strengthen, I think, the whole structure in having more direction. So one problem potentially with democracy is that it can lead to herd mentality to some extent, and the where the majority, the mob sort of rules. Now, I'm big fan of democracy, and it would be running through this theory left, right, and center. All of these major systems are democratic. Although with a dual top-down system, you might have an academic world that is constantly readjusting holistic maps. And so these maps are fed into the culture as sort of the best we have. Now, they don't have to be accepted by the people, but they're the best they have. And you can enter the academic stream and get academic shares. So there's mind shares, heart shares, and resource shares. And then you can get academic shares, which is parallel in a sense to the mind shares, but in a different domain. And the academic shares means that you are entering the stream of augmenting the holistic maps that are being integrated into the system itself. And so people, if you're augmenting if you're highly seen in the academic share world, you're certainly playing a major role in creativity because the whole intention is to enhance the maps out there, the holistic maps that we have in place, and further integrate them and add to them and expand them and change them and shift them. But it's part of this theory is assuming that there is sort of broad generalizations that means that the universe isn't totally relative. So this whole theory, in a sense, is impinging or is placed upon that groundwork, so that assumption, in a sense, an assumption that I feel is quite justified, but an assumption nonetheless. And so that whole academic stream is itself holding that assumption, although it can question it constantly, but that's just getting its wheels spinning, and sort of that's what the problem of postmodern green is, in my opinion. That is to say, pluralism just itself spins its wheels. It doesn't get really much further in creating new academic vision. And so that's what this dual top-down system would do, and it would be totally in the clear, totally in the open as much as possible, so that anybody can enter that and augment it and change it and enhance it. You are.